Well, I'm going to go on and delve into the unusual streak here because, anyway, hey, actually saw several of these. You can look all over YouTube if you want. If you're into that type of stuff. If you're not, skip it, whatever the hell. Actually, it was about, some of the secret cloning programs they have, and, supposedly the military has, or the elite have, or whatever the hell it is. Cloning like people, right? Well, actually, I was watching one, and I'm going to tell you where it is. I'll show you the link, because I think it was the best, interview with this guy. This guy's name, I'm going to try to be brief, but I'm not going to rehash what he said, and I'm not going to bring out all he said, because it's pretty wild, man. But I'm kind of dovetailing into some stuff where if you want to use a little common sense and see if there's maybe a little bit of plus. I don't even want to knock it, saying one way or the other. Just leave it out there, but it was on a Vinny Eastwood show. I don't know who this guy is, but who am I, right? I'm not really trying to run the show. I'm just having fun here. But anyway, the guy's name was Donald Marshall. He's 39 years old, and he said he was cloned. He's not the only guy that says this stuff. There's been other people out, and you can see him on YouTube. Search for him if you want. Delve into the unusual. But anyway, I'm going to get on to some other things here real quickly with some things he said that maybe, well, let me put it to you this way. I'm not going to delve into deeply what he said because it's going to be, I don't know what the hell to make of it, but let me put it to you this way. Some things he said about the elite pretty much colluding with each other, like, Obama, Putin, people in London and Rome and whatever, they all are kind of like buddy-buddy. That I can really freaking see because, from what I've understood about, I haven't seen that stuff, but I've seen where when it comes to money or power, there's no religion, no political borders. It's like people just are in a set class of people, and that's their common denominator. They'll cut each other's throat, and there's competition and all this kind of garbage. But generally speaking, that's their group. It's not divided by country, by politics, or by religion. It's you'll see like what you conceive as possibly opposites. They'll be buddy. So basically, he was talking about a lot of these people are kind of like they're colluding together, and they basically know each other on a personal level far more than people think. That's one aspect. It's not exactly what he said. He talked about the deep underground military bases. Now, I'm going to state this. There is deep underground military bases. Like I say, I didn't see any, okay? But I've known this for years, not from looking at conspiracy blogs or looking at the internet. This is way before the internet. This has been known in military. At least it's always been known about the Russians having them, okay? It's always been known. In the military, and way before the internet was around, basically, if you're talking like, it was around a little bit, say in the 80s or something. It's always been known that the Russians have had deep underground bases below Moscow. And we have them too. And the ones we know about that are closed and all this kind of stuff, I don't think they're the deepest ones. You're talking about stuff that we know about is from the 60s. So he says there's a lot of cloning experiments going on. I'm getting onto something here. Cloning of people, right? He said there's a lot of cloning going on. It's been going on for a long period of time, and there's different stages. This is Donald Marshall. He was in the best interview I saw of him giving information. I'll point you the link. You can look at this. But, one thing he said that, and I'm going to bring this up, because he didn't bring up about quantum entanglement. Now, I've been talking about this quantum entanglement stuff, which I think is too freaky to me to actually believe too. But, if you take one object, the DNA of one object and the DNA of another living thing, they're entangled by their DNA. And he was saying that the way they keep people in line is they do stuff to their clones, and it can actually affect people. He did not use the word quantum entanglement, but you start thinking about that, if you believe quantum entanglement and it's stuff about the DNA being, if you know if it's actually cloned, you know, it kind of like dovetails into the science, if you want to say that. Now, this, like I said, this is getting on to the really wild stuff here, but he talks about the lizard people and stuff. I don't want to say, you know, laugh one way or the other. I'm going to state this. I think David Icke is full of it, totally, when he talks about lizard people, shape-shifting reptilians and stuff. Now, I do know that if you look at what science says about what's deep underground, they don't even know what the hell there's. Like, they'll talk like there's oceans as big as the oceans above the surface of the Earth. They've just been finding this out, that is in between the transition layer on Earth. So who the hell knows? I mean, how would I know one way or the other? I mean, so I'm not going to say, you know, is that anything to me? And right now, did I ever see a lizard? Hell no. I'm not going to be like David Icke and say, yeah, my wife was turning into a shape-shifting reptilian right before my eyes, and I saw one on the elevator. Anyway, but he says these guys, he says they exist, so that's one thing. Actually, I'm going to point to a link. I did a video, and I thought it was kind of interesting. It was from the L.A. Times. No, it was back in the 1930s, about a guy that was digging down into a cave or something like that, or mines, about investigating the Indian legends of the underground lizard people. I know. All right, so, I mean, you know, this is controversial as all hell. I hesitate to put this out here, but anyway, I want to put it out here because I think I'm going to... Well, there's a couple things that kind of dovetail. One, he was talking about the clones, that if they have a clone of a person and they do something to that clone, they could punish the actual person. And I started thinking about the principle of quantum entanglement with the DNA. And he didn't say that, but I says, well, isn't that scientifically possible? You know, assuming you have a clone. Another thing he said, and this is something else where I kind of perked my ears up too. He talked about Gaddafi. And he says Gaddafi wasn't actually killed, that was his clone. You know, my instinct or whatever it is, or BS detector said that I thought they killed his double. I mean, I wasn't saying his clone. I thought he killed a double. I think this guy was actually part and parcel of the top elite Gaddafi, and I was thinking they actually didn't kill him when he was killed, because something didn't add. That's just what I felt. Okay, you know, I can't really prove it, but you know, if it's a clone, I guess his DNA is going to be the same, right? But that'll be a good cover. Anyway, he talks about what the hell is it? Tequila. That on her website, she was putting out some stuff about I don't know, this alleged cloning stuff and what the hell they're doing and all this garbage. I don't know what the hell she put out exactly, and they did something. He says that they did something to her clone that made her almost jump out the window and do all this shit. I don't know. But, you know, actually, I'm going to tell you this. Man, this is going to be fucked up. Excuse me. But, you know, you know, I guess if you had a clone, if that was true, say they had your DNA someplace and they were able to clone people or some shit. I don't know. I guess if you're looking for a way to counteract it, I wonder if these DNA remote holders with all these electronic devices would, you know, be a way to shield you from it. I don't know. You know, if you're running a whole bunch of shit, excuse me. You know, you're running a whole bunch of stuff that is, you know, on these alleged, you know, because I can't even wrap my mind around this DNA remote stuff at all. But, you know, I was talking about the spooky remote. But say, for instance, you're, you know, you want some protection from the guys that got your clone, man. You get your DNA, you get your spooky 2, a bunch of spooky 2 generators with the remotes. You put your DNA in it, and you run good vibrations from the Beach Boys or something. Maybe you're protected. I don't know. I'm throwing a concept out here, not an actual solid solution. But you get my drift on that. So, but anyway, I found it interesting. When he talked about that, I kind of keyed in on that. Because, it wasn't like Vinny Eastwood was keyed in on it because he doesn't know nothing about the, the DNA quantum entanglement, how you can actually transmit frequencies from a DNA holder to the DNA in your body. And here this guy, Donald Marshall, who's claiming that there's clones of him. They have a clone where they can have clones of other people. They can actually, if they do something to the clone, they can actually kill the other person by what they do to the clone. I don't know. He says that's what happened. He claims that that's what happened to Whitney Houston. I don't know. But, I'm going to tell you, I can't remember all this stuff because I kind of peruse this stuff once in a while. I think it's all over YouTube, and I don't even know if the guys. I think it's Major Brown's wife, Major Brown. I don't know if I'm remember that right, but I remember that she had a diary from him or a copy of his diary about a lot of freaky stuff that was going on in the military. And actually, I saw that before. I think it was way over 20 years ago. Way over 20 years ago, before the internet was even popular. I forgot what the hell was in there. There's a lot of freaky stuff, but it kind of doves into a lot of stuff that I heard about, and through the grapevine in the military and stuff like that too. But so I also want to say that there's a number of things out there that probably are stranger than you want to freaking even think about. But the one thing that this Donald Marshall is saying that these lizards are just like really smart alligators. So it's almost like you can take them down, man. You know what I mean? I don't know what the hell the deal is here. But actually, I put something out. I don't put too many of these kind of videos out, but I have been, I guess, recently here. But there's one I put out a long time ago on Phil Schneider. And of all the guys out there that was putting out all these stories about, underground bases, experiments that go on in underground bases, weird other races of people that live underground or something, he was the most plausible in my opinion. So I put something out on him, and actually some of the information I got on him, it disappeared from the net. So I don't know. I'm going to actually link up. You can look at the Vinny Eastwood interview with Donald Marshall. You can look at the one I did on the L.A. Times, the 1930 article from the L.A. Times. And I'm making light of this stuff. When the L.A. Times, I'm not really being serious about it. I'm kind of like, I put it out in a humorous way. But, it was Indian legend, too, that there was lizard people that lived underground. So, I got an open mind about this, man. Have you ever been 10 miles underground? Has anybody been 10 miles underground? I haven't been. So how would I know, right? Maybe there's something down there, man. Well, they don't come up here, man. That's all I gotta say. And also about Phil Schneider. But the one thing is, if you got your Colt 45 and there's a lizard, you got no problem, man. You know what I mean? Get them 230 grain lead jacket. That's probably why they're doing gun control, because maybe the lizard people are behind it. I don't know. But anyway, I figured I'd point this out because I thought it was pretty wild that he talked about if he did something that the clone was a way to actually punish the individual by doing something to the clone. And I thought of the principle of the DNA quantum entanglement. And I says, he's not talking about that, but then I know that's a scientific principle. And also he talked about Gaddafi not actually being killed, and that's something I always said. Actually, Saddam Hussein, what I think would happen, I'm going to tell you this, with Saddam Hussein, he was going for some type of operations for some type of cancer in Italy, and I think there were dangerous operations or something before, he switched to the euro and all this type of stuff. I tend to think, I am guessing on this, but I'll tell you one thing I'm not guessing on though. is that he died, and they covered up his death, and he had so many doubles. I mean, I don't know if they're clones, but I mean, he had doubles. We all know Saddam Hussein had loads of doubles out there, and it was the two main sons that were running everything. Actually, it was the two main sons they went after. They changed the policy from using the U.S. dollar to going to the euro for the oil. And then we attacked them over that policy. I know that's what the deal was. But when they hung Saddam Hussein, there's like a dead giveaway that wasn't Saddam Hussein without getting any kind of like giddy rumor, conspiracy, conjecture. It was the dental work. The guy that they hung, his teeth were like all crooked and they weren't good. Saddam Hussein had like perfect dental work. That wasn't him. I mean, that was almost like in your face given. I mean, you might say the guy might not have looked like him too much, but the dental work, you could see it. It was obvious. It wasn't him. So I think that what happened was actually Saddam Hussein, he might have died before that war happened, and the policy was changed by the two main sons. And they were playing like he was still alive. And you know, our intelligence probably would have knew Saddam Hussein was actually dead. But what they were really going after wasn't the man. They were going after the policy change, right? So, and the same with Gaddafi. Gaddafi, I think, is... I always got it. I always, you know, if you look way back, I don't know where the hell I have it, but I always suspected the guy was alive, and that was a double that was killed. But I'd never know that. But that's what he's stating, that that was a clone. They killed him. They killed a clone. So I don't know what the hell the deal is here, but to tell you the truth, when I'm watching this guy Donald Marshall, it's, well, if it's disinformation, whatever. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But what I picked up on it was, I don't know. Maybe it is disinformation. I don't know. I don't know. But I just put it out here for food for thought, because if you want to look at something else I did about Phil Schneider, and something else I did about off the LA Times lizard people, whatever the hell it is. And, you know, I don't know, this deal with Tequila, whatever her name is, maybe, you know, maybe something was there. I can't remember who the hell it was. It used to be what the hell was it? Talk with, God, I can't remember her name. I'm embarrassed. She died. I mean, they killed her in England. Amy, you see, I'm not a person that follows around all these movie people and people in entertainment, but she used to talk to me back and forth online a lot. Actually, her. I was surprised. Winehouse. Amy Winehouse. And, you know, I had suspicion big time of what happened with her, man. Big time. So, I don't know. I think there is some evil freaks there up on the top, and you know, if you want to look at something, and she comes across extremely giddy. It's the wife of, I think it's Major Brown. I'm doing this from memory because actually, when I delved into that was probably like 20 years ago. I could tell you I read a lot of stuff, man. But I don't like read it on a daily basis and get wrapped up into it. But, you know, I know a lot of stuff. So a lot of times people bring something up. It's like, yeah, I'm aware of that. I just don't bring it up in the video. But this guy was talking about the cloning, Donald Marshall. And he had some pretty wild shit, man. Pretty wild shit. So if you want to look at that, I'll point you the link. It's on Vinny Eastwood's channel. You know. So I'm just throwing it out there. Point of interest, and if you want to look at, and you know, I'm mocking this. I was putting out this stuff with the, you know, with the LA Times, the lizard people. You know, I was putting out in a more humorous way, but I don't know, man. I mean, sometimes Indian legends might have something to it. The way I look at it is, if there's lizard people, let's hope they stay down there about 12 miles. But supposedly, I'll mention this. Donald Marshall says Henry Kissinger has a pet little lizard. That's like pretty vicious. So, I don't know, man. Anyway, if you want some anyway, if you want to look at the unusual, it's definitely on YouTube. It's all over the place. But I don't know. So pretty cool stuff. But kind of dovetails into some other things in some ways, and I really don't give a shit, to tell you the truth, that much, because I just think that if I see a lizard like that, I hope I'm locked and loaded fast enough.